are you today? So, I am testing new look for the live streams. There might be some issues while we work on the transitioning of all that, but maybe it'll look a little bit better for you. It's been a little bit more fun for me. Fucking, and yeah. And then I probably, as I get used to doing it in this way, I hopefully plan on improving it even more eventually. Um, one day. So yeah. Fucking, also, something else I want to test real quick. I don't know if I got this right, but I'm just gonna see. Hmm. It's still showing as like a top chat. I wonder if that will work. So right here, I don't know if it's showing for you guys, but basically I am trying to see if this like chat feature will work for us. So going forward, if this does work, then perhaps I'll be able to pull up the chat on the screen as shit's going down, but it just looks like for whatever reason it's still showing up as top chat. And I wonder if that's because I unpopped this out. Hmm. Okay, if I pop it out, now if I change it to a live chat, would that work? Or is it to do with somebody typing into it? Maybe it's because there's no chat in there. Hmm. Sorry. I will timestamp. Well, maybe I'll timestamp this out. My bad. Fucking, yeah. Huh. I wonder. So, I'm not sure if this is gonna work or not because, I'm still testing it. But maybe it will if somebody actually comments in here. Maybe it will update. And maybe it will work. So, who knows? That is something I'm testing to see if I can figure out a way for chat to come up in OBS. But the way I did that was by adding a source for what the fuck is this? Did they call this again? A browser source or whatever the fuck, because they have like the different names, whatever. So, added a browser source, and then for the URL, when I'm in my YouTube control panel, I like popped out the chat, like using the menu button to pop that out, and then I copied and pasted that URL into the browser link right there. And I was hoping that I was like, maybe this will work. So, but I don't know. Maybe it's because no one's in the chat, but maybe it's because that just doesn't fucking work. But I'm going to, when somebody does comment up in here, I will be fucking showing that bitch, and then just to see if it works, and then I can troubleshoot from there because I feel like I need to see if I get a comment to start troubleshooting it, huh? Who knows? I don't know. Who knows if that worked? Okay, I'm sorry. But the reason we're fucking here today, fucking speaking a whole 3 fucking minutes, I haven't even talked about this shit, um, is I've been processing like why Billy Mays was successful. And then in my 90s nostalgia, early 2000s nostalgia, started thinking about Bob Ross. And I was like, yeah, okay. So then I was starting thinking about the similarities and the differences, and I started processing the way their pitches work and the way their art works and the journey and the experience in their content production is similar. And so I figured we could talk about that today. And I also wanted to show you guys how I believe they utilize 5 parts of conversation, which is what we've been discussing in terms of marketing, networking, and writing pitches and copywriting. And so, like, I wanted to look at that and then do a reaction to lecture 6 of the How to Start a Startup series from Stanford. And this one is called Growth, and it is given by this dude named Alex Schultz. And he is the vice president of growth at Facebook. And I Googled that, and I'm pretty sure he's still the vice president. He was like 9 years ago or so, and he still is now, I think. So, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, 10 years. God damn, this is over 10 years ago. Shit. Okay, 10 years, not 9. My bad. tenure. 10 years? Tenure? Okay, my bad. Fucking. So, yeah. I'm gonna actually roll the fucking intro now, and then we're just gonna do this bitch. I'm a little distracted today. Maybe I shouldn't have done a live stream. Oops. Well, we're here now. Hi, my name is Alexis, also known as Lexie or Deaf Child. I was born deaf, hard of hearing. I began doing business as Deaf Child 2013, marketing 2011, sales 2009. I've earned 50 plus certifications in marketing and sales. My Bachelor of Science from Loyola University, New Orleans, with a music industry studies major and a business administration minor. Deafness runs in my family genetically. Speech is not fully accessible to me. Anyway, I'm here to bitch about whatever the fuck is on my mind. So here we go. Visit my site at noladeafchild.com. Okay, so am I muted? No, I'm not. No. Okay. Fucking first I wanted to just talk about the Billy Mays effect again. So, first of all, the Billy Mays effect is not a new concept. I believe it was first written about, well, I don't know when it was first written about, but I've seen here that before me, sidequesting.com wrote about Billy Mays' effect on the gaming world. So we'll go over that article. Um, and a lot of people here are talking about Billy Mays' impact in marketing and things like that too. And we've previously discussed in my other live stream on this why Billy Mays was so beloved by many, right? Um, fucking so yeah. What I don't like about this AI search result thing is how like with this AI overview when it shows you the links, these links won't take you to what it's actually saying is happening here. You know what I'm saying? Like it's talking about how Billy Mays effect is a term that refers to Billy Mays influence, but these links don't talk about like to my like from what I gathered, you know. So like I'm like, dude, what the fuck? That's why I don't like, and I know sometimes it can be wrong. Sometimes it's right, and sometimes it's wrong. You know what I mean? So I just that bothers me. But yeah, so there's a lot to work out there. But anyway, so we've been thinking about the Billy Mays effect in terms of his influence on marketing, how he's trustworthy, how he's seen as likable, but how he also uses excitement and the Turner burn effect in order to bring people into his marketing. And the turn and burn effect is whenever you're able to get people interested in your story and typically get them to go from one location to another in order to close a deal. And he does that. He's able to get people to go from just watching him on TV to either calling someone, going to a website, going to a store, or something to get a product. Um, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, fucking he's known for like doing a lot of good stuff with sales and pitching. Um, and I had also done a previous video comparing him to Mikayla Nogueira. And one thing I do think is funny in my comparison to Mikayla Nogueira was first, like, after I made a video, I was thinking, like, you know, what if that really isn't a good take on it? But then, as I'm doing a little bit of digging into the concept of Billy Mays and marketing for just thinking about this stream here, um, I see in the reviews on this archive.org video log of Billy Mays commercials, they fucking one bitch put uploads that nobody asked for nor want. So just get fucking yeah. Alright, sorry, I was trying to make that a little bit bigger. Maybe I should just zoom in. Fucking and then it says, rather have my eye poked out than watch this loud Pepsi addict. Royal Crown? Whatever. So, yeah. And I think that's really funny because a lot of people, you know, Mikayla Nogueira got the same criticisms from a lot of people, in my opinion. And you can see my last live stream where I was comparing Mikayla Nogueira and Bob Ross. Not Bob Ross. Oh my God, Billy Mays. My bad. I am constantly saying the wrong names for people who, like, I know the right person. The right person's in my head, but then I'll also be thinking about other things, and I'll be saying like the wrong thing. The fuck. I don't like that I'm like this. It gets me into trouble. Whatever. Um, and so fucking yeah, but that's like another thing where I was just like, actually, here they are, pretty similar. And I think it's funny how they was talking about loud Pepsi addict. And like I think Mikayla Nogueira did like a commercial with Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Or am I wrong for thinking that? Why do I think that? Anyway, but yeah, so I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. So we've got some commercials here we're gonna check out. Just in reflection of the 5 parts of the conversation with the Billy Mays effect. When I looked that into it, a lot of people, what I found instead were people arguing about whether or not Billy Mays ever said, "But wait, there's more." Um, I remember him more saying, "Hi, Billy Mays here, and our fantastic product." That's what I associate with him. Fuck, as saying, like, I thought though, but wait, there's more was another dude, but maybe I'm wrong. Am I wrong for thinking that? Was that Billy Mays? I don't know. But anyway, that's not what this live stream's about. So whatever. Fucking sidequesting.com in 2009 wrote an article about Billy Mays' effect on the gaming world, and I understand that they were thinking of it like how he impacted gaming world. They weren't like trying to be like this is the Billy May effect, but I still feel like that is another person who had spoken on the concept of there being a Billy May effect. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that makes sense to me in my head. I don't know if those semantics really matter, but I guess technicalities, whatever. Let's talk about them. Fucking but yeah. So this one right here was talking about. This is from when he passed away. So right here is talking about what made him so likable among the geek and gaming community. Um, and it's it apparently had an effect on and them through the because there was skits on regarding their TV and rivalry regarding another pitchman, which inspired a PC game fight and a Halo modification, um, like in honor of Billy Mays. I'm not explaining that right. The article is linked in the description of this video. But yeah, fucking and he also had signed on to be a spokesman for The Sims 3 for EA. Um, unless this was an April's Fool joke. But if the EA acknowledges you, even in passing, then you've hit the big time in gaming industry. Oh, this is not found. Maybe that wasn't actually happening. Maybe that was a joke. I did not look into that. I don't know about that. But yeah, fucking. Anyway, this article is just about basically people who are geeks or fans of Billy May, is kind of what this article seems to be saying. And I can kind of agree with that because a lot of nerds do love Billy May, particularly people who like sales and business and are into marketing as well. And I mean, not every person, because, like we saw with this comment over here, some people think he's annoying as fuck, right? But a lot of people perceive him as someone who's really likable and who actually pitched on, for the most part, relatively solid products. You know what I'm saying? And things like that. So he was known for, like, if he was pitching something, then you were pretty confident that even if it wasn't for you, it was still something that did the thing it was supposed to do. And today, that is, oddly enough, can be difficult to find. Some people will be pitching shit and they're just pitching shit just because they got paid to pitch it, and you know what I mean? Like, they didn't even look into it really, so. Yeah, fucking also linked in the description, we've got transcripts from Billy May's most popular infomercials. And these transcripts, I figured we could just look at the first one here for impact gel or whatever, and I just wanted to show you and compare the impact gel to the 5 steps of a conversation in the 60-hour marketing challenge that we've been discussing previously. And so, in the 5 steps to a conversation, this is regarding introduction, short story, presentation, close, and rehash. And check my live reading for the full explanation, reading, and commentary on all of this. And it's time stamped if you just want to get only this part. But basically, to sum it up, we're breaking down the pitch into 5 parts in order to gauge how many people stick along for each part, and in order to build a frame that is more likely to convert, that follows a story, that has a procedure, that gives everybody what they need to do to get things done. You know what I'm saying? So, with the introduction, you're building customer personal relationships, you're pointing out pain points, you're introducing who you are, what you're doing right now, what you're selling, how what you're selling could benefit them. It's an introduction. So for his introduction for Impact Gel, he's saying, are you on your feet all day? Does the contact pounding cause your ankles, knees, and back to ache? Hi, Billy Mays here for the world's greatest insult, Impact Gel. And it says, why am I smashing my hand with this hammer? To show you the amazing protection you get from Impact Gel. And this hammer is real. The same gel technology is used in our Impact Gel soles. So here's our introduction. From this introduction, we know who we're talking to. We're talking to Billy Mays. What is Billy Mays doing? He's showing you Impact Gel. He's here for Impact Gel. What is he doing? He's demonstrating how it can help you, protect you from pounding pain. So yeah. And so from that, a lot of people may or may not be hooked from, or at least interested to learn more, particularly people who are, right here, what is he doing? He's qualifying his buyers. Who is he targeting, right? People who experience this specific pain who would benefit from these inserts, right? And so that right there, you know what I mean? He's qualifying his buyers. He's addressing pain points. He's asking questions. There's just a lot of good things right there. Okay. Now, next we have a short story. And in the short story is when you're basically going to let people know the features and benefits of what they can get out of working with you or doing business with you, and what is the story? Why should they? You know what I'm saying? It's your chance to basically make them feel like they have a reason to buy from you. So he's saying, if you have sore, tired, aching feet, Impact Gel absorbs more shock and pressure than other insoles. Unlike regular insoles that break down over time, Impact Gel is injected into the areas that provide pressure relief where you need it most, the heats and balls of your feet. The gel never breaks down, and when impact occurs, the insole soaks up the shock and the force now ripples through the gel pads. No regular insoles can do that. Even after continuous pounding, these M&Ms don't break. Imagine the relief you'll feel in all kinds of shoes. They even work in cowboy boots. I use them and they work. Talk about shock absorbency. I'm going to run over my hand with this 6,000-pound car. That's the power and protection of Impact Gel. So in this story, he explains exactly how Impact Gel can works and protects you from pain, and he demonstrates it as well in the ad, right? And so that is the short story, and that's also when he demonstrates the presentation. right here. So we have a short story between if you have sore, tired, aching feet, and even no regular souls can do that. I would consider that a short story. And then even after continuous pounding, these M&Ms don't break through the I'm gonna run over my hand. That's our presentation. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Next, we're gonna have our close, where we get people to the cell. Whether you're a runner, a professional, or stay-at-home mom, you deserve the comfort of impact gel. Stop spending hundreds of inferior insoles. Remember, nothing absorbs a shock quite like impact gel. Call now and get a pair of our impact gel soles for only $29.99. But that's not all. We'll also send you a pair of our impact gel inserts free. They're perfect for dress shoes and casual wear. But I'm still not done. And so right here, this is the close. This is what's going to get people to close, right? And then he's also rehashing. Rehashing is when you remind them why they're buying. Remember, everyone has a sale hidden. It's when you remind them of what the benefits are, and you leave them knowing what they can get when they buy right now, and and if they did just buy, why they just spent their money, what's happening next, right? And so here he's utilizing the 5 steps of the conversation. And so let's just watch it real quick.
Are you on your feet all day? Does the constant pounding cause your ankles, knees, and back to ache?
Hi, Billy Mays here for the world's greatest insole, Impact Gel. Why am I smashing my hand with this hammer? To show you the amazing protection you get from Impact Gel. And this hammer is real.
The same gel takes...
So, do you see here where we're getting into the difference between our introduction and then we're going into our short story? We're going into our short story.
Technology is used in our Impact Gel insoles. If you have sore, tired, aching feet, Impact Gel absorbs more shock and pressure than other insoles. Unlike regular insoles that break down over time, Impact Gel is injected into the areas that provide pressure relief where you need it most. The heels and balls of your feet. The gel never breaks down, and when impact occurs, the insole soaks up the shock and the force now ripples throughout the gel pads.
I just remembered, I'm not really sure if I was remembered to unmute myself or not, but I had fucking said, in case I forgot, that first we were going into the introduction and the short story. So now we are into the short story, and in this short story here, we're finding out, right here, he's talking about how it works and everything. And when he finishes showing us how it works, we're moving into the presentation when he starts demonstrating. Okay, so watch it.
Regular insole can do that. Even after continuous pounding, these M&Ms don't break. Imagine the relief you'll feel in all kinds of shoes. They even work in cowboy boots.
I use them, and they work. Talk about shock absorbency. I'm going to run over my hand with this 6,000-pound car. That's the power and protection of Impact Gel.
So this is the presentation part right here. So we just got out of the short story. We're in the presentation.
Whether you're a runner, a professional, or a stay-at-home mom, you deserve the comfort of Impact Gel. Stop spending hundreds on inferior insoles. Remember.
So that was the close. So he was just closing, and then we're about to get, after this close, he's telling you, like, what are the features. He's reminding people why they want to buy. And then when he starts telling you, after the call to action of call now, when he starts telling you, like, it's the price, and then when you buy, you're going to get X, Y, and Z, that's the rehash. Remember, everyone has a sale hidden. That right there is when you're, making everyone feel good. You're reminding people, like, how they agree to what they're doing, you know what I'm saying? You're leaving a good impression on their mind. You're letting them know the benefits of how they're going to get supported beyond the initial interaction. You know what I'm saying? So watch it. Oh, hey, Augusto. Augusto just said I wouldn't dare to put my hand under a tire. That's what I'm saying. I know, right? Augusto, I'm going to see real quick if this works. Let's see. Oh, it does. That's so cool. Okay, cool. I'm trying to see if I was seeing if I could get the comments to start pulling up, and I figured it out. Okay, awesome. I explained how to do that at the beginning of the introduction. Okay, cool. Yay.
Nothing absorbs the shock quite like Impact Gel. Call now and get a pair of our Impact Gel insoles for only $29.99. But that's not all. We'll also send you a set of our Impact Gel inserts free. They're perfect for dress shoes and casual wear. But I'm still not done. Call right now and we'll double the offer. Just pay separate shipping and handling. That's right.
And that right there is the rehash, where he is reminding you what you're going to get when you buy. Remember, everyone has a sale hidden. So you see right there, he just used an introduction, short story, presentation, close, and rehash in his pitch. And he's got that high energy and all of that. Okay, so that's where I was like, thinking, and you can see more examples of his commercials linked in the description of this video in the archive link right there. And so then I was thinking about our dude Bob Ross. And with Bob Ross, I was literally thinking like, um, fucking this dude, he is beloved, but he has a totally different energy. You know what I'm saying? So somebody on Reddit, I don't know if this person, their Reddit thread is, Reddit handle is Wendy Schambergers. I don't know if they're the person who made this video or who made this video, but they uploaded this video and it says all Bob Ross paintings in one collage. And so I wanted to look at that real quick just because it's really pretty. But and then I want to discuss why people love Bob Ross, you know what I'm saying? And I want to discuss how in his videos, you know what I mean? He also uses 5 steps to a conversation. So he starts you off with his introduction, right? You start off, he introduces himself and then he tells you about what we're painting that day, right? And then after that, we start painting. And typically in the painting, he talks while he paints, and he'll be telling different stories in different episodes, right? So some of the episodes they'll be motivational. They'll be talking about, looking up on the road and just like having like an escape and like finding ways to center yourself and feel better and all that good shit. And then some of them he'll be just talking about like, where he got like the painting idea or visuals or what he'll be explaining the techniques he's going to use. He'll be doing different things or combining all that, right? And then so he includes short stories as he's working, and then he is presenting the art. Then he's presenting the fucking painting whenever it's done, right? He's showing you the finished product. And then at the end of all of the episodes, then you could previously go learn how to paint directly from him. He started selling like, he had his own line of paintbrushes, he had like books about him. He was selling painting classes. He was doing all of those things. And so then he would be rehashing too, with reminding people like, okay, well, this is what I'm working on and where we can go be a part of that. And so that would also be part of the content he would be putting out, where he would be selling shit. And so even Bob Ross, in my opinion, you can go on YouTube. There's a Bob Ross Joy of Painting. I'll try to remember to go link it. The Bob Ross Joy of Painting YouTube. Okay, yeah, right here. So fucking this, they linked a bunch of the episodes on here, and then they've got new people painting more shit in the same style using his name and stuff. Um, and fucking yeah, so they got like a podcast about him and all of that. So you can go watch his old work and shit from here. But let's just look at the beginning of one real quick, kind of sped up, and I'll show you what I mean with the 5.
I welcome This today. Thought today we'd just do a fantastic little scene that I hope you'll enjoy. Let's start out and have run all the colors across the screen that you need to paint along with us.
So first, he's introducing himself. He's telling us what we're doing and all of that. And so right here we see, we've got our introduction. Hopefully you'll join us today. So we're already here. And then let's move into the short story. Let me show you how to.
Doing that, let me show you what I've got done up here today. I have my standard old pre-stretched double prime canvas, and I'm using an 18 by 24 inch, but you use any size.
So you see right here with his, this time it's a more technical one. With his short story, immediately he's going into telling you how you can get the painting done, what type of easel is he using, and he starts explaining like how to paint. Like it's literally a teaching video as well. He's like showing you what he's painting and telling you how to do it as he does it. So if you had the materials at home, you could literally do this shit with him. And there were people that did do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so yeah, and so then we're going to get into the presentation, and the demonstration of his skills that happens throughout the painting and as he shows you it at the end. So we're going to skip through this now, only because I don't want to take too much time, and I don't know enough about art, in my opinion, to really feel like I'm going to add good value to the commentary if I keep watching all of it. But I just want to show you right here. So he's showing you the effectiveness of how you can use the paintbrush right here. You know what I'm saying? So this is the presentation part. And then let's get into the close. Between the presentation and the close, we're going to see the finished product here.
Maybe both of them pooped out. All right. Hey, what? Let's sign this little devil and call it finished. Take a little red, and we'll sign it. I really hope you've enjoyed this little painting. It's one of the most simple paintings you'll ever come across, and you can do it. From all of us here, I'd like to wish you happy painting. God bless, my friend.
So right here we have the presentation and the close. You can, and his close and his call to action. You can do it and like to join him in his painting. So let's see if it does it in this one. I remember sometimes there was this like 90s like style picture frozen colored ad that would pop up with like a frozen screen that would have pictures of what he was like pictures of like the paintbrushes, for example, and like a number to call to get them. Or am I like why do I feel gaslit? Like I feel like that was real on PBS. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. Like in the credits, they would also be rolling like, why do I feel like they used to roll like, also in the credits they'd have some shit to sell some stuff too sometimes. Why do I feel like that happened? Like anyway, okay, so I'll link this video so you can watch the full video if you want, and Bob Ross's channel at the end when I'm done. So yeah, but also, he reminds everybody, the value as well in his clothes in watching his videos. Like anyone can paint, and that's the whole purpose of his videos, to show anyone that anyone can paint. And so in the same way, the way he is able to get more people interested in art and art for art's sake, that itself is an ability to market and influence people through communication, visuals, you know what I'm saying? Content production. That is marketing. So people liked him. The same reasons that they like Bob Ross, and like Bob Ross and Billy Mays are very different. Bob Ross is very chill, very calm. He's gonna be like the turtle in Finding Nemo. Like, dude, you know what I'm saying? But Bob Ross is really in your face. Did I get that right? Did I say, wait, no, Billy Mays is in your face. Shit, my bad. Bob Ross is chill. Billy Mays is in your face. I know the difference between the two dudes. I'm just fucking saying the wrong names. But anyway, Billy Mays is very obnoxious. He's known for he can be perceived as obnoxious. That one dude was like, this is really annoying and loud. You know what I mean? That was one comment. But but I don't think I've ever seen anyone say that Bob Ross is annoying or loud. Let's see. Fucking Augusto said it's more about the brush technique. So I think that adds more value on saying this is a good brush for this and that. Right. I agree. And I think that's also where Bob Ross and Billy Mays can be kind of similar because of their ability to demonstrate. Like when you came in and you were like, I wouldn't dare put my hand under a tire. We were talking about the demonstration that Billy Mays was doing with this gel to showing how good it was at helping with pain, that he would literally let his hand get ran over by a tire, you know? Um, and then fucking, or by a car under a tire. And then fucking, Bob Ross, when he demonstrates with the paintbrush, he's literally showing you in action how these paintbrushes work, right? The specific one. So, yeah, like they both do a really, like a lot of similar things with their demonstration and the flow of their content production, even if their personalities are totally fucking different. And they're also both likable because they're both perceived as trustworthy because they both are perceived as people who have delivered on the end result of what you're going to get from them. And a lot of people don't do that. You know what I mean? Um, but also, I feel like, there's criticisms of Bob Ross with certain things, but I feel like I am not a good, like, I haven't processed enough of that to speak on that really right now. And I'm not in like of the community or decolonized enough to speak on some of those criticisms as well. But I will say I totally get criticisms regarding Bob Ross. Like some of them I think are, there's some, I've seen some bad criticisms regarding certain cultural issues that could be at play there. So that I totally understand. But yeah, besides certain things like that, he's overall perceived as someone who is like very, very likable. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I think that's what Bob Ross, between that and the 90s nostalgia, and Billy Mays, they both have that in common. But they both, I've noticed, I believe Bob Ross and Billy Mays, actually, wait, did I want to leave that up? No, I don't need to leave that up. Bob Ross and Billy Mays, in my opinion, both of them fucking use the 5 steps of a conversation as I've been discussing from the 60-hour marketing challenge in the way that they advertise, I believe. You know what I'm saying? Um, if that makes sense. Fucking so next what we're gonna do is fucking watch lecture 6 on growth. And this lecture fucking is from Alex Schultz, and he's the vice president of Facebook. And oh no, not of Facebook. I apologize. He's the vice president of growth at Facebook. That matters. There's a difference. My bad. I don't even know if Facebook has a vice president because I think they got like a CEO structure, so I don't think that works that way. But anyway, fucking he's the VP of growth or whatever at Facebook. And I googled it. He still is today, as far as I know, from what I found online. I think he still is. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's not, but he definitely was like 10 years ago. So fucking this dude's gonna give a lecture on growth. It's from the How to Start a Startup playlist from Stanford University. It's provided by this Y Combinator Live program. There's 2 playlists for this linked in the description of my video. One of them says Y Combinator in the title, and that is the original playlist without my commentary. And you can watch it all in its regular speed there without my commentary. And then the one that says reaction and commentary, that's the playlist with me talking shit about this shit. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to be watching this bitch at 2 times speed because we ain't got time to sit here all day. And yeah, I'm gonna actually fucking do this bitch now.
Oversold, thank you. Cool. So you guys, this is awesome. I've been watching the lectures in this course. Isn't it absolutely amazing, the content? And now you're stuck with me to see how that goes. Unlike Paul when he was talking in the Q&A and you guys asked him what he'd do if he was at college today and he said physics, I actually indulged myself. I went and did physics at Cambridge, and I think physics is an amazing class to give you transferable skills that are really useful in other areas, but I guess that's not why you're listening to me today. Like, physics isn't the class. So I paid for college doing online marketing, direct response marketing. I started with SEO in the 1990s. I created a paper airplane site. I had a monopoly in the small niche market of paper airplanes globally, which, when you want to start a startup, also see how big the market could be in the long term. It wasn't great. But what that taught me was how to do SEO. And back in those days, it was Alta Vista, and the way to do SEO was to have white text on a white background, 5 pages below the fold, and you would rank top of Alta Vista if you just said paper airplanes 20 or 30 times in that text. And that was how you won SEO in the 1990s.
So there is this dude that calls this SEO strategy barnacle SEO or black hat SEO, or it's whenever you basically try to do keyword stuffing. Now you'll get penalized for this shit. But before there was penalties in place in the algorithm to prevent people from doing this, what people would do in order to boost their SEO would be to just keyword stuff. They wouldn't even write about things, but to show up for it, they would use the same color text so it matches the background of the page so it doesn't show up, and they would just put all the words they wanted to rank for, or they would use some of the words they wanted to rank for even more times in order to keyword stuff to show up at the top of the algorithm. Now you'll get penalized for that shit because they're tired of that, and the algorithm is trained to look for if that's in the page code. You know what I'm saying? But previously, that's what the fuck a lot of people were doing, and then that's also like still some people who don't update themselves on SEO, like I'll still see older people keyword stuffing, and I'm like, that's bad for you, right? But yeah, not all older people, like because we're affected, we get SEO like the progress from older people. They're the ones who made this fucking shit, right? So I'm not saying like all old people don't know how to use technology. I don't mean to be like that. But you know how like some people, they will be stuck, they won't update themselves on where things are changing, and they'll stay stuck in like late 90s, early 2000s ways of approaching the internet. And I'm just like, it's been 20 years now. Let's go. You know what I mean?
It was a really easy skill to learn. When I went to college, being a physicist, I thought paper airplanes would make me cool, and I was actually the most nerdy person in the
Also, it's bothering me that he's talking about how he did that, but he's not discussing how that's not a good thing to do. You know what I mean? And a lot of these people, these kids that he's talking to, these are teenage. Some of them might be teenagers. Some of them, they're in their early 20s or teenagers if they're in college. Most of them. And so it's like when I was at that age, I was just doing whatever the fuck they were saying to do in college. And if they weren't telling me the risk of doing something and I was going to do it anyway, I was fucking myself over. So that's where I'm like, if you're going to discuss the things he did that are problematic to do, you should discuss the risk in doing so people don't think that's something that's going to go like help them be successful right now. Because what if people don't study SEO and then just go try and do that shit, and then they've just penalized their shit, and now it's going to be like they have to work 10 times harder to rank than they would have had to before. You know what I mean? I don't know.
physics class, so I created a cocktail site, which was how I learned to program, and that grew to the largest cocktail site in the UK. And that really got me into SEO properly when Google launched. So with Google, you had to worry about PageRank, and you had to worry about getting links back to your site, which basically at that stage meant one link from the Yahoo directory got you to the top listing in Google if you had white text on a white background below the fold as well. When Google launched AdWords, that's when I really started to learn how to do online marketing. And that was buying paid clicks from Google and reselling them to eBay for a small margin of like 20% using their affiliate program. And that was what really kicked me into overdrive into doing what everyone nowadays talks about as growth or growth hacking or growth marketing. And in my mind, it's just internet marketing, using whatever channel you can to get whatever output you want. And that's how I paid for college and how I ended up going from being a physicist to a marketer and transitioning to the dark side of the force. So what do you think, Matt?
For me, there is a difference between just general internet marketing and growth marketing, because just general internet marketing is basically just doing your data entry for you. You know what I'm saying? But growth marketing is the ability to scale. And almost every marketer can do your general internet marketing and data entry for you, but not every marketer is going to be able to grow you or scale you, especially if you don't already have resources.
matters most for growth? You've had loads of lectures and people have said it over and over, so what do you guys think matters most for growth? Someone give me an answer. Great product. I agree, great product. What does great product lead to? Customers. And what do you need those customers to do? Spread the word. Someone said stay on your site. Someone said that. That's it, retention. Retention is the single most important thing for growth. Now, we have an awesome growth team at Facebook, and I'm super proud to work on it, but the truth of the matter is we have a fantastic product. But getting to work on growth at Facebook is a massive privilege because we're promoting something that everyone in the world really wants to use, which is absolutely incredible. If we can get people on and get them ramped up, they stick on Facebook. So many times, like I've advised multiple startups. My favorite was working with Airbnb. I've worked with Coursera. I've worked with other ones that haven't done as well as those guys. But the one thing that is true over and over and over again is.
And this was produced about 10 years ago. So at that time, I felt like 10 years ago, the concept of Facebook not being the top platform, in terms of growth wasn't, like, I couldn't comprehend if that would be possible back then because of how tight of a hold they had on everything. But because of the way TikTok has blown up, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think TikTok growth just might be higher than Facebook. Oh, I lied. Facebook and Instagram are currently growing faster than TikTok, if this AI bullshit is correct. That's surprising. Yeah, it's wild though to be around this long, like regardless of how you feel about the concept of because there's a lot of reasons to criticize Facebook, right? So regardless of how you feel about that, it is, damn, like even though I thought that TikTok, might be more, because I see so much more capability for people to monetize on TikTok lately than I've seen people be able to do. I can't even speak. Did I just say pee? Um, Fucking people be able to do in fucking years on Facebook, but you can do it on TikTok way easier right now. So like I'm thinking like, wow, like TikTok must be growing faster, but oh, Facebook is still growing faster somehow. Like so 10 years ago, like Facebook right now, they had that monopoly. They had, because, where they talk about monopolizing, and then didn't they get into legal trouble for monopolizing? I'm over here like, that's about monopoly, right? So the FTC did sue Facebook for illegal monopolization. So I do think it's funny that 10 years these speakers from 10 years ago, because I had the same criticism about the last dude. Well, I forgot his name, but whatever. Fucking like they were talking about monopolizing, and I'm like, isn't that a bad thing? Like, why would you want to be a monopoly? Because in my head, it's one thing to just so happen to be the only person doing what you do and being the best at it versus fucking whenever you're like actively trying to make it so other people can't do it too. You know what I mean? Um, and fucking Augusto said, I meant TikTok's still a baby, but I'm sure it will grow much more and beat them in the future if it doesn't go banned. I hope so, man. And with the whole ban thing, like every now and then, like some shit will be happening, with like that I see in the news or with some legal paperwork. I'm like, oh wow, this might really be the one. It really could get banned this time. But then, like, overall, I think there's too much money in it. And I think, like, for if they banned it, that would just be really stupid. And I just feel like there's just too much money in it. So in my head, I'm like, it's probably going to be fine. I don't know. We'll see what happens, though. But maybe the fact that there is an ability, because, like, with TikTok and the way that algorithm works, there is an ability to get the word out in a way and where we are able to access communication in a way that I feel like I'm not used to from Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And so I think that's what scares people the most is our access to a different understanding of the world outside of the way um, the powers that be want it presented to us. Because for not only is it different according to the country but state by state as well regarding what laws allow things to be taught, right? Fucking Lazo said under Trump administration it's a possibility. Man, the whole presidency bullshit, like, ugh, I hate Trump. I hate him. with a passion. So, but yeah. So, fucking, wish it was, comma. I've been seeing some videos about a recount. I don't know if that will work out. What's gonna happen with that? I mean, I would like it to work out. I'm just trying not to get my hopes up because I'm already like, I just don't want to get this. Like, I'm already disappointed. I'm just not getting my hopes up. But it is disappointing. And so, what's been helping me focus and make me feel better is just focusing on my tribal sovereignty, supporting my community connection, uh, reaching out to my tribal historian made me feel better. Studying my history, trying to focus on getting myself in a position to just be there and support the community. Um, yeah, because like the conversation online since then is just like way too bad for my mental health. I just don't feel like engaging with it. I don't have, that's like, I've been focusing on other shit because people just upset me too much on there. Like, I don't like Trump supporters, and I know I said I wanted Kamala Harris to win. There are certain Kamala supporters I don't like. Not all of them, but like a certain type right now. Um. Oh, sorry, you brought it up. Oh, it's no worries. I just meant like with the Kamala people though. So some of the people who, when she lost, like, okay, so I'm fucking New Orleans. There's this group. Let me pull it up. Hold up. Let me pull it up, and then I'm gonna share my screen. So there is this group. I joined it because I got invited into it, and then I was just like, I wanted to see what, like, it's like I'll be joining any, like, some local groups I'm invited into to keep an eye on what's happening in society. You know what I'm saying? And so this is one. It started out. Does this show me the name changes that it's gone under? Huh. Oh, they should show you the name changes. They make me do that shit on fucking. Oh, they did change. They do show it. Okay. Hold up. Let me show you this. So there was this group on Facebook. It was originally called Mobilize to End Voter Suppression. Then they changed their name to Protest Senate Trying to Replace RBG Before Inauguration. And that I disagreed with. They should have replaced her, to be honest, because she could have gotten replaced at a time when there was options for someone better to be in my opinion. And yeah, but that's just me. Fucking, I think she should have stepped down like during Obama's era, so Obama could have put somebody cooler in. But that was just me. I don't know. Fucking whatever. And then they changed it to Mobilize to Demand a Fair, Balanced SCOTUS and Stop Voter Suppression. Then they changed it to Mobilize to End Voter Suppression again. And then they changed it to Positive Change for Everyone. But it's like in here, it's just like a bunch of fucking white women arguing about how people need to be grateful for the bracelets, and I don't know. I just don't feel like I have value alignment with this group. I'm in it to keep an eye on what's happening, and I find out about shit in here that I'm like, okay, now I know this is happening. But I just find myself consistently judging these people. So it's like, and these are the people who claim to support Kamala, but I don't know, man. I just find them very performative. And I don't think they care about decolonizing. I think they care more about looking like they they just care more about like social perceptions and people thinking that they're nice than actually being like a good person. You know what I mean? Those types of people. There was this fucking post in here, and I feel like it got deleted because where the fuck is it? There was this one post where everybody was arguing about the blue bracelet, and I don't even fucking see it anymore. Maybe I should search for it. Okay, yeah. So there's a lot of posts in here. But yeah, fucking, I don't know. I don't like it. I just, it gives, this group gives me the ick. And there are people who claim to be Kamala supporters. So when I tell you, you know, I don't like all of them, that's what I mean. Like, people like that. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. I just wanted to say that. So yeah, fucking, alright, I don't know, that was a weird little ramble, but let's go back to the lecture, my bad. Oh, wait, Augusto said, bruh, I'm Latino. So, back to the topic. Oh, yeah. Back to the topic. My bad. We're here now.
Is if you look at this curve, percent monthly active versus number of days from acquisition, if you end up with a retention curve that asymptotes to a line parallel to the x-axis, you have a viable business and you have product market fit for some subset of market. But most of the companies that you see fly up, who talk about growth hacking and virality and all of this other stuff, I'm going to try so hard not to swear, but it'll happen, their retention curve slopes down towards the x-axis and in the end intercepts the x-axis. Now, when I show this chart to most people, they say that's all well and good. You had 1 million people a day in terms of growth when you started the growth team at Facebook, or you were at 50 million users. You had a lot of people joining the site, so you had a ton of data to do this. We use the same methodology for our B2B growth, getting people to sign up as self-service advertisers. We used this analysis to understand how much growth we were going to have in that market as well. And in that place, when I joined Facebook, the product was 3 days old. And within 90 days of the product launching, we were able to use this technique to be able to figure out what the 1-year value of an advertiser was. We predicted it for the first year to 97% of what the number turned out to be. So I think it's very important to look at your retention curve, and this is how we did it. If you see here, this red line is number of users who have been on your product for a certain number of days. So a bunch of people, that should say 0, but a bunch of
Okay, processing something though. Back to that group thing that I was just showing you guys. Fucking, where it was calling themselves positive change for everybody. Not everybody needs positive change for them. You know, I don't know if I'm making sense. Some people are the reason we need positive change. It's like, not everybody's in a bad position. Some people are in a better position because they get themselves in a better position by putting themselves in a bad position. I don't know. So there's something about like and then it's like who's running the group. You know what I mean? It's just the group, like, so, and so then this brings me to retention here. Let's connect that social change to marketing with retention and users. So we have, like, we take the blue bracelet argument, for example. We have a bunch of mostly white women who are basically like, if you're not grateful I'm wearing a blue bracelet, then I'm not gonna fucking support your human rights anyway, and fuck you. You know what I mean? I've seen that out there online. And so let's talk about retention in marketing. You know what I mean? How long do you keep people engaged? How long do people last through your message? You know what I'm saying? And then where it comes to knowing your audience, when you build a group where you normalize a society where people are treating each other like shit, and people who aren't impacted by certain social issues are negating the lived experiences of people who are, then you have a society where you are not retaining people who are trying to actually progress on human rights issues. Instead, you have people who just want to quote unquote keep the peace, and they just want you to shut up and not make them feel or look bad. You know what I'm saying? But then, so with marketing, it's very similar. You have to know your audience. You have to cultivate your audience for your business and your community for your business in a very similar way that you need to build value alignments politically in order to have a productive social movement based on human rights. Because the community you organize around, the support system and the support network you build, it's all connected. How you live your life and business is connected to your value alignment in human rights. And that is how it all connects today. Thank you, Augusta. We are staying on topic.
People will have been on the product, all of your users will have been on it at least one day, but if your product's been around a year or whatever, you'll have 0 users who've been on it 366 days. Make sense? Okay, sensible? Cool. So what you then do is look for all of your users who have been on your product one day, what percentage of them are monthly active? 100% for the first 30 days, obviously, because monthly active, they all signed up on one day. But then you look at 31. Every single user on their 31st day after registration, what percentage of them were monthly active? 32nd day, 33rd day, 34th day. And that allows you, with only something like 10,000 customers or whatever, to get a real idea of what this curve is going to look like for your product. And you're going to be able to tell, does it asymptote? It'll get noisy out towards the right-hand side, like I'm not using real data. It'll get noisy out towards the right-hand side. You'll be able to get a handle on, does this curve flatten out or does it not? If it doesn't flatten out, don't go and do growth tactics, don't go and do virality, don't hire a growth hacker. Focus on getting product market fit. Because in the end, as Sam said at the beginning of this course, idea, product, team, execution.
Okay, so I feel like the lecture, like he has like, I don't disagree. Like in the last lecture I was watching, everything that man was saying, I was like, I don't like this, I don't like that, I disagree with this, and I disagree with that. You know what I mean? But in this one, I'm like, I actually like most of the shit he's saying so far, ish, for the most part, ish, kind of. Except for that monopolization thing. Fuck that. But like in terms of where he's discussing, and I had some thoughts about like the whole concept of internet marketing, but whatever, where he's going about, Augusta said, I don't know what I did. You're telling me to stay on topic, so you know, I'm over here staying on topic. Fucking, but yeah, so where he's talking about the growth curve and shit, like I agree with the points he's making about how you need to pay attention to your retention. And if your retention is dropping off, then you need to fix issues. You know what I'm saying? And where what is happening with your growth curve can help you determine where your business needs to work on. I feel like he has like a good point, you know, with what he's saying in regards to things like that. But what I don't like about the lecture is where I feel like he's is so technical. He's not fully, in my opinion, explaining what he means by this shit, to where if you're not already in this industry or doing these things, you might not know fully what he's talking about. And maybe you do though, because you just so happen to know about it another way. But when I just go say shit like this to my clients, they're like, what the fuck? You know, I have to break it down a bit more. I have to sit there and I have to explain to them, so how many buyers continue to buy from you? How many visitors become buyers? You know what I'm saying? Where you like help them understand what you mean specifically when you talk about retention. Because when you just say retention, it's just a buzzword. But when you say it's not, it's how many people are actually staying with you to finish a transaction, then they understand what you mean. You know what I mean? For people who are new to the industry or who are outsourcing to you because they need someone who knows what they're doing, right? And so I feel like where he's giving this guest lecture, I understand one level when you go give a lecture to a college class, you expect them to have a certain level of knowledge of the field you're lecturing on. But on another level, depending on what type of class this is, and I don't know how advanced it is, I just wish, either way though, I still kind of wish he was like explaining the technical definitions and giving more relatable concepts and examples as he goes. Because it's like a lot to just, it's just, because without that, for people who don't know what you mean, it just sounds like buzzwords. You know what I'm saying? But for people who know it, it paints a picture. It's a specific word for that specific meaning. But if you don't understand the technical context, it's just like idea, product, team, and execution doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making sense. He is making sense when he puts those ideas in context of growth. Like I understand where he's going, and that's all valid shit. But without further explaining it, it just sounds like you're just, you know, I don't know. Okay, I'm repeating. I'm a broken record.
If you don't have a great product, there's no point executing while I'm growing it because it won't grow. Number one problem I've seen inside Facebook for new products, number one problem I've seen for startups I've advised has been they don't actually have product market fit when they think they do. So the next obvious question that people ask over.
Okay, sorry for pausing already, but I do agree with what he's saying, where he's saying if you don't have a good product, it won't grow. Like a lot of people get mad at me because they want to run ads, and I ask them, have you made a sale yet? No. Don't run an ad unless you've made a sale for free. Because if people won't buy it without you spending money to scale, then you're going to risk wasting your money. You don't know if people are willing to buy it. But if you can at least convert some buyers organically, then you have a viable offer. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, my tattoo artist, she's got clients already. I can scale that because she's already got a portfolio. She's got buyers, she's got customers, she's got income coming in. We can run ads. But, oh, and that reminds me, this live stream is sponsored by Ink by Cass. If you are near Pasadena, Texas, you should get a tattoo from Ink by Cass. But yeah, so you can scale if you know that people are definitely willing to buy from you. That is something you can scale on because you know you can execute, you know people want it, and you know you're gonna deliver. You know what I mean? Like it's boom, done, done, done. But if you haven't sold, if you don't if you don't know people are actually ready to buy, or if someone hasn't already bought from your point of purchase as is, then you haven't confirmed if that is an offer worth investing into yet. You need to test it first organically before you scale. And that is like the biggest hurdle I have to convince people into when they're working with me. They will often want me to go ahead and start running ads on something they haven't tested yet. And I'm like, how do you know people want it? Now, there are exceptions to that rule. There's a lot of exceptions to that rule, particularly with established businesses already launching a new offer. But I'm particularly referring to startups who have never sold anything at all ever before. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm referring to.
Over and over and over again is, okay, what does good retention look like? Sure, I can have 5% retention, but I'm guessing that Facebook had better than that, so that's not going to be a successful business. And I get really pissed off when people ask me that question. Because I think you can figure it out. And I love this story, and this is like my one gratuitous story that I love that I'm throwing in here, so the rest of it may not be as gratuitous. But this is a picture that was published in Life magazine in 1950 of one of the Trinity nuclear bomb tests. And there's a guy, Jeffrey Taylor. Who's heard of Jeffrey Taylor? Awesome. Yes, someone's heard of him. Jeffrey Taylor was a British physicist who ended up actually winning the Nobel Prize, and he was able to figure out from looking at this picture what the power of the atomic bomb was, the US atomic bomb, and Russians were publishing similar pictures just using dimensional reasoning. And dimensional reasoning is, I think, one of the best skills that I learned during my time studying physics back in the UK. And what dimensional reasoning is you look at the dimensions that are involved in a problem. So you want to figure out energy, newtons, meters, newtons are kilograms, meters seconds to minus 2, so you've got kilograms, meters squared, seconds to minus 2, and then you try and figure out how you can get each of those numbers from what data you have. So the mass is the volume of this sphere. So that's a meter cubed you throw in there, so you've got meters to the 5 over seconds to the minus 2. And he was able to use that to just figure out what the power of this atomic bomb was, what the ratios of the power were between the Russian and US atomic bomb, and essentially reveal one of the top secrets that existed in the world at that time. That's a hard problem. Figuring out what Facebook's retention rate is not a hard problem. How many people are there on the internet? Give or take, someone throw something out. 2.4 billion, 2.3 billion, something like that, right? Okay, Facebook's banned in China. So what now? About 2 billion? 2 billion. So 2 billion people on the internet. Facebook in our last earnings call said something around 1.3 billion in terms of number of active users. You can divide those numbers by each other. And yeah, that won't give you the right answer. Of course it's not going to give you the right answer, but it's going to give you close enough to a ballpark figure of what the retention rate looks like for Facebook if we signed everyone on the internet up, and then you will know it's higher than that. Similarly, if you look...
So I love how he's explaining it like that, but really he could have just said, literally when you have a website, it gives you analytics and it tells you what your retention rate is. So he knows the retention rate from his analytics. So it's like theoretically I understand where he's going with the idea to help them envision ways they can think of their own growth rates, you know what I'm saying? But what I wish he would also do would be refer to the analytics, which tells them how they can actually realistically track their own growth rates. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that. I'm like, it's just like, this is a big opportunity right here. It's the perfect spot to discuss analytics. You know what I mean? I hope he does.
Look at WhatsApp. They've announced 600 million active users. How many people have smartphones? You can figure out that number. That number's out knocking around. It can give you an idea of how many users there are. Amazon has had a pop at signing up almost everyone in the United States. You know how many people are online in the US, and you've got a good idea of how many customers Amazon are from the numbers they throw out. Different verticals need different terminal retention rates for them to have successful businesses. If you're in e-commerce and you're retaining on a monthly active basis, like 20, 30% of your users, you're probably going to do pretty well. If you're in social media and your first batch of people signing up to your product are not like 80% retained, you're not going to have a massive social media site. And so it really depends on the vertical you're in, what the retention rates are. What you need to do is have the tools to think about who out there is comparable and how you can look at it and say, am I anywhere close to what real success looks like in this vertical? So retention is the single most important thing for growth, and retention comes from having a great idea and a great product to back up that idea and great product market fit. The way we look at whether a product has great retention or not is whether or not the users who install it actually stay on it long term when you normalize on a cohort basis. And I think that's a really good methodology for looking at your product and saying, okay, the first 100, the first 1,000, the first 10,000 people I get on this, will they be retained in the long run? So now how do you attack operating for growth? Let's say you have awesome product market fit. You have built an e-commerce site and you have 60% of people coming back every single month and making a purchase from you, which would be absolutely fantastic. How do you then take that and say, now it's time to scale? Now it's time to execute was the last thing in your thought, right? And that's where I think growth teams come in.
I need to remember, so I've done a bunch of playlists on actually scaling, and one of them is vertical versus horizontal ad scaling. And yeah, I'm gonna try and go get like all of my marketing funnel and sales funnel and scaling and pricing videos. I'll try and remember to link all of that in the description of this video, because I've already done like content with all of my ideas on this shit right here. But yeah, back in just
Like my contrarian viewpoint or whatever is if you're a startup, you shouldn't have a growth team. Damn it! So close. Halfway through and I failed. You shouldn't have a growth team. Startups should not have growth teams. The whole company should be the growth team. The CEO should be the head of growth. You need someone to set a North Star for you. Gratuitous shot of the NASA page. You need someone to set a North Star for you about where the company wants to go. And that person needs to be the person leading the company.
I do agree with the fact that the company startups shouldn't have growth teams, because like growth marketing is what you do when you're scaling and you're ready to run ads. So typically most startups shouldn't be right off that bat. Well, you can be running ads but not trying to scale. You know what I'm saying? They shouldn't be right off the bat worried about scaling. They should be worried about stability before they scale. You know what I mean? You've got to test, stabilize, scale. Test, stabilize, scale are Depeche Mandalia, his content, his strategy from his CBO cookbook. And it's test, stabilize, scale. That's how you grow. You know what I'm saying? So I do agree on a certain level. Like you can't just go and expect to immediately grow without first testing and stabilizing. You know what I mean?
In my opinion, from what I've seen. And Mark is a fantastic example of that. Back when Facebook started, lots of people were putting out their registered user numbers, right? You'd see registered user numbers. MySpace, you'd see registered user numbers. You'd see registered user numbers. Mark put out monthly active users as a number both internally he held everyone to and said, we need everyone on Facebook, but that means everyone active on Facebook, not everyone signed up to Facebook. So monthly active people was the number internally, and it was also the number he published externally. It was the number he made the whole world hold Facebook to as the number that we cared about. If you look at what Jan has done with WhatsApp, I think it's another great example. He always published send numbers. If you're a messaging application, sends is probably the single most important number. If people use you once a day, maybe that's great, but they send one message. You're not really their primary messaging mechanism, so Jan published the sends number, right? Inside Airbnb, they talk about nights booked, and they also publish that in all of the infographics that you see inside TechCrunch. They always benchmark themselves against how many nights booked they have compared to the largest hotel chains in the world. They have, each of these companies, a different North Star. The North Star doesn't have to be monthly active users for every different vertical. For eBay, when I was there, it was gross merchandise volume. How much stuff did people actually buy through eBay? Everyone externally tends to judge eBay based on revenue. Actually, Benedict Evans has done this amazing breakdown of Amazon's business, which is really interesting to look at their marketplace business versus their direct business. eBay is all marketplace business, right? So eBay's being judged by its revenue when it actually has 10 times or whatever more gross merchandise volume going through the site. And that was the number that eBay looked at when I was inside there and optimized for. So every different company, when it thinks about growth, needs a different North Star. But when you are operating for growth, it is critical that you have that North Star and you define it as a leader. The reason this matters is the second you have more than one person working on anything, you cannot control what everyone else is doing, right? I promise you, having now hit 100 people I'm managing, I have no control. It's all influence. Yes, I can say to one person, do this one thing, but then the other 99 are going to do whatever the hell they want. And the thing is, it's not clear to everybody what the most important thing is for a company. It would be very easy inside eBay for people to say, you know what, we should focus on revenue. Or you know what, we should focus on the number of people buying.
Okay, and you know, a lot of people are often wondering, like, why do I do all the different reporting that I do, you know? And that is so we are all on the same page, and so people know what's the most important goals for the company at all of the different aspects of marketing, because each one addresses a specific issue, and that's what keeps everybody on the same track, and it creates a sense of what's referred to as commander's intent. And commander's intent is when people understand why you want something executed, and the reason being is so that way if you're in the field or when something happened and you can't really communicate, if you're not able to execute on a specific action to do something, if you understand the commander's intent in terms of the reason it needs to be done, you will then understand if you know how to do it a different way and still be able to achieve the same result, right? And at the end of the day, the task is still completed. So that's the point with commander's intent. And I don't know. I just feel like right here is like having the ability to be able to organize your team and being able to put everybody on the same page so we all know what's going to get done. That's a big part of project management because, yeah, on a certain level, it's also about the, scrum, um, which is when you break down a project into a campaign into its individual parts so it's not so overwhelming, and you tackle it task by task, and you can do like agile where you do like rapid completions of certain parts of a campaign in order to move the project forward. And I also think that being able to visualize the full picture so everybody knows the end result in case anything happens along the way is also very crucial in my opinion to like having everyone on the same page so everybody knows what to do, so everybody has the same common goal and understanding, if that makes sense. All right, I'm spiraling. You get my fucking
buying from us. We know what we should focus on, how many people list items on eBay. And Pierre and Meg and John, those guys as various leaders always said, no, it's the amount of gross merchandise volume that goes to our site, it's the percentage of e-commerce that goes to our site. That is what really matters for this company. Which means when people are having a conversation, you're not in the room, or when they're sitting in front of their computer screen and thinking about how they build this particular.
So what he's basically saying to me, in my opinion, is the way they live off of the ad revenue. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like it's the monetization.
The product or this particular feature, in their head, it's going to be clear to them that it's not about revenue, it's about gross merchandise volume, or it's not about getting more registrations. Registrations don't matter unless they become long-term active users. A great example of this was when I was at eBay in 2004. We changed the way we paid our affiliates for new users. And affiliate programs are a bit out of fashion these days, but the idea of an affiliate program is essentially you pay anyone on the internet a referral for sending traffic to your site, but it's mostly about getting access to like big marketers who do it on their own, like separately, and some really good stories from this. We were paying for confirmed registered users. So all of our affiliates were aligned about getting confirmed registered users to the eBay site. We changed our payment model to pay for activated confirmed registered users. So you had to confirm your account and then bid on an item, or buy an item, or list an item to become someone that we paid for. Overnight, when we made that change, we lost something like 20% of confirmed registered users that were being driven by the affiliates. But the ACRUs only dropped by about 5%. The ratio of CRU to ACRU went up, and then the growth of ACRUs massively accelerated. The cause of this was if you want to drive CRUs, if someone searches for a trampoline, you land them on the registration page because they think they have to register and confirm before they get that trampoline. If you want to drive ACRUs, you land them on the search results page within eBay for trampolines so they can see the thing they want to buy, get excited about it, and register when they want to buy it. And if you drive just CRUs, people don't have an amazing magic moment on eBay when they visit the site. And that's the next most important thing to think about, is how do you drive towards the magic moment that gets people hooked on your service. So in the lecture notes of this course, I've stuck in a bunch of links to people I think are brilliant at all of this stuff. That retention curve I showed earlier, there's a link to this guy, Danny Ferrante, who's incredible talking about retention curves. The magic moment, there are two videos linked. One is Chimoth talking about growth, who's the guy who set up the growth team at Facebook, and one is my friend
And, with Facebook, I think the social networking of it all is part of like how it got so big. You know what I mean? Because like thinking of like the difference between Facebook and MySpace, right? Like how why did everybody get onto Facebook and stay over on Facebook instead of also being on MySpace? I want to marinate on that and maybe do another video on that, like how MySpace died and Facebook took its place. You know what I mean? Like, how did that happen? Like, let's think on that. Um, I feel like at the same time that Facebook was getting big, MySpace was going through these changes. They had changed ownership and was trying to go into a different direction, being more music focused. And if I remember correctly, where I believe MySpace really died off was they had previously what made them so much cooler was we could like do the coding to edit the MySpace page, and that was cool as shit. I fucking wish you could do that on Facebook, man. That's the only miss about MySpace. That was my favorite part. Um, and then with like millennials learn to code on MySpace. Fucking and then Facebook though, I feel like with Facebook, like so the way that the algorithms worked were different in my opinion. Um with the timeline and the way things showed up and the way you got connected with the photos and the videos. I don't know. I feel like because there was a news feed on MySpace, but with MySpace, the algorithm would not push something back up into your feed again it was just in timeline order. You know what I mean? There was no like shifting algorithm. I feel like that's also why MySpace was awesome, but maybe that's why it died. Like with Facebook, I think the algorithm making certain promoting certain things or making it go viral, giving things the option, you know what I mean, where people found it more and there was more visibility on specific things. I think that's why people went into Facebook, because for people who wanted views or engagement, it's if you do start trending in the algorithm on Facebook, it was even easier to get views on Facebook than MySpace. But I mean, a lot of people were MySpace famous. You know what I mean? I don't know. Okay, moving on. I don't know why I'm clicking here. I should be playing. I forgot that I wasn't on a website. Whoops. Fucking. Okay, let's keep playing.
Naomi and I talking at F8 4 years ago about how we were thinking about growth back then, and in both of those videos we talk about the magic moment. So what do you guys think the magic moment is for when you're signing up to Facebook? You hit that big green button. What is the moment when users are like, aha? Mark even talked about it at the start of school a few years back. See your friends. See your friends. Simple as that. And usually it is very simple. I talk to so many companies and they try and get incredibly complicated about what they're doing, but it is as simple as just when you see that first picture of one of your friends on Facebook, you go, oh my God, this is what the site is about. And Zuck's talked at Y Combinator about getting people to 10 friends in 14 days. That is why we focus on that metric. The number one most important thing in a social media site is connecting to your friends, because without that you have a completely empty newsfeed and clearly you're not going to come back. You'll never get any notifications. You'll never have any friends telling you about things they're missing on the site. So for Facebook, the magic moment is that moment when you see your friend's face, and everything we do on growth. And if you look at the LinkedIn registration flow, you look at the Twitter registration flow, or you look at what WhatsApp does when you sign up, the number one thing all these services look to do is to show you the people you want to follow, connect to, send messages to as quickly as possible. Because in this vertical, that's what matters. When you think about Airbnb or you think about eBay, it's finding on eBay that unique item, that Pez dispenser or broken laser pointer that you really, really cared about and wanted to get hold of. Like when you see that collectible thing that you're missing, that is the real magic moment on eBay. When you look on Airbnb and you find that first listing that's like a cool house that you can stay in, and when you go through the door, that's a magic moment. And similarly on the other side, when you're listing your house, the first time you get paid is an amazing moment. When you're listing an item on eBay, the first time you get paid is a magic moment. You should ask Brian what he thinks, because they've done these amazing storyboards, which I think has been shared, of like the journey through a user's moment life on Airbnb and how excited he is. And he's talking in like 3 lectures time. The guy's awesome at talking about magic moment and getting his users to feel love and joy and all this stuff. So think about what the magic moment is for your product and get people connected to it as fast as possible, because then you can move up where that blue line has asymptoted. Then you can go from 50% retention to 60% retention to 70% retention easily if you can connect people with the thing that makes them stick on your site. The second thing to think about is everyone in the valley gets wrong that we optimize when we think about growth for ourselves. So my favorite example is notifications. Again, talk to lots of companies, advise lots of companies. Every single company, when they talk about notifications, goes, oh, I'm getting too many notifications. I think that's what we need to optimize for on notifications. Okay, are your power users leaving your site because they're getting too many notifications? No. Then why would you optimize that? They're probably grown-ups and they can use filters. What you need to focus on is the marginal user, the one person who doesn't get a notification in a given day or month or year. Our experience of our products, and by the way, like building an awesome product is all about thinking about the power user, right? Building an incredible product is definitely optimizing for the people who use your product the most, but driving growth, people who are already using your product all the time are not the ones you have to worry about. So in this Danny Ferrante video, there's also this link from the lecture page, there's also talk about
That I see, I agree with what he's saying. So I've been talking a lot about how people who get a lot of hate, such as Mikayla Nogueira or Madeline Pendleton or even Sandera Paze, like they have a lot of hate for them right now. But I don't think that they're gonna be suffering as business owners long term, because they all have a big enough loyal fan base to keep them going. I do think it will impact their ability to grow, because certain people who would have bought from them before may not want to after certain information came out about them. But I don't think it will stop them from growing, because there's always going to be an opportunity to turn it around and do better. And there's always going to still be the untapped market of people who don't know what the fuck happened. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So yeah, I think, just thinking right here where you're thinking about like the difference between long-term sustainability and growth. A lot of people associate long-term sustainability with the ability to grow. And yes, you do need growth to help with long-term sustainability, but at the same time, you can have growth and no long-term sustainability, and a lot of people fuck themselves over that way. You know what I mean?
About our growth accounting framework that we used to think about for growth. And we looked at new users, resurrected users, people who weren't on Facebook for 30 days and came back, and churned users. And the resurrected and churned numbers for pretty much every product I've ever seen dominate the new user count once you reach a sensible point of growth a couple of years in, whatever. And all those users who were churning and resurrecting had low friend counts and didn't find their friends and so weren't connected to the great stuff that was going on Facebook. And so the number one thing we needed to focus on was getting them to those 10 friends, getting them to whatever number of friends they needed. So think about the user on the margin. Don't think about yourself when you're thinking about growth. So operating for growth, what you really need to think about is what is the North Star of your company? What is the one metric where if everyone in the company is thinking about it and driving their product towards that metric and their actions towards moving that metric up, you know in the long run your company will be successful. And by the way, they're probably all correlated to each other, so it's fine to pick almost any metric. Whichever one is like the deepest, like that you feel the best about, that aligns with like your mission and your values, probably go for that one. But realistically, daily active users fairly correlated to monthly active users. We could have gone with either one. Amount of content shared, also very correlated to how many users there are, because guess what? You add a user, they share content. So lots of things end up being correlated. Pick the one that fits with you and that you know you're going to be able to stick with for a long time, but have a North Star. Have a North Star and know the magic moment that when a user experiences that, they will deliver on that metric for you on the North Star. And then think about the marginal user, don't think about yourself. Those are, I think, the really important points when you're.
I really like what he's saying here about the magic moment, though. I really do agree, though, because when you think about like what's going to help people feel good or give people that reason to buy, that unique selling proposition, what's your differentiator, what makes you different, what's going to be that thing that people choose you over something else. You know what I mean? I feel like this is a great way to reflect on what are you going to do in order to help close that deal. In general, I love that though. I do really like this. Like I have a few like things that I wish were like different, if that makes sense. But that's just me. But overall, I do think this is a really good lecture. You know, a lot of
Operating for growth. Everything has to come from the top. So the last area here is tactics. And my hope was that I could hit a few of these, and then I've got a list of tactics I want to go through that I'm better talking with a whiteboard and whatever on, but you can ask me questions as I'm going through on those about how they work and what goes better. But the important tactics that you need to think about are, this is a great guy by the way, Tom Fishman, he lives in the Bay Area and he does these really cynical cartoons that I love. So let's say you found your niche market that you're going to have a monopoly on inside the mousetrap market. It's a silenced mousetrap for sitting under bed so that if the mice come to your bed overnight, like they can be killed without waking you up. So that's your niche market. And your mousetrap is better than anybody else for that market. What typically happens in Silicon Valley is everyone thinks marketers are useless. Like I thought marketers were useless when I was a physics student, so I'm sure as engineering students you must think we're awful people who aren't useful to have around.
And for those of you who weren't looking, it has like a cartoon and it says a better mouse trap, now 5% better, and it's got a picture of a mouse trap on it. And it's just like your standard mouse trap where it's like a piece of wood and some metal thingies that snap or whatever out. Right, I don't know the right words. And then it says, now that we built it, let's sit tight and wait for the road to be the path to our door. Um, and so, yeah, I understand where he's addressing the concept of just because you build it doesn't mean they're going to come, you know? Because they have to know you exist in order to know to go there. You know what I mean?
Build it and they will come. That is something that is very much the mantra in the Valley, and I don't believe it's true. I believe you actually have to work. There's a good article, again, in the lecture page from interviewing Ben Silverman, where he talks about how the growth of Pinterest was driven by marketing. And it's a really good article to read into. Unbiased, of course. So the first tactic I want to talk about is internationalization. Facebook internationalized too late. Cheryl said it broadly in public, and I definitely agree with that. One of the biggest barriers to our long-term growth, and one of the biggest things we had to deal with, was all the countries where there were clones. Famously, StudiVZ said had fakebook.css in their HTML.
I think part of why that happened too is whenever they first started out, they weren't trying to be global or all ages. They first started out, if I remember correctly, it was like for college kids or something like that only. You had to show like how you had to like provide your age or something like that to even like get in. You're supposed to be a certain age limit. And it was like about like college networking, if I remember correctly. You know what I'm saying? And instead of like your yearbook, you got on Facebook. That was like the whole thing, if I remember correctly. Like, why do I think that? But I think if that is true, that would be where it impacts part of where they didn't get on to other languages fast enough. Could have been from being from that origin and in that ideology still.
And there were a ton of sites like that out there, whether it was StudiVZ as a clear clone, Contactia, Mixi, Cyworld, Orkut. There were all these different social networks around the world that grew up while Facebook was focused on the US. And so internationalizing was an important barrier we needed to knock down, and knocking down barriers is often very important to think about for growth. Facebook started off as college only, so every college that it was launched in was knocking down a barrier. When Facebook expanded beyond colleges to high schools, I wasn't at the company, but that was a company-shaking moment where people questioned whether or not Facebook could actually survive, the culture of the site could survive. Then expanding from high schools to everyone, that was like just before I joined, and that was a shocking moment, and that spurred the growth onto 50 million, and then we hit a brick wall. And when we hit that brick wall, that was the point when a lot of existential questions were being asked inside Facebook about whether any social network could ever get to more than 100 million users, which sounds stupid now, but at the time, no one had ever achieved it. Everyone had kind of tapped out between 50 and 100 million users, and we were worried that it wasn't possible. And that was the point at which the growth team got set up. Chimoff brought a bunch of us together. It was, he said very publicly that he wanted to fire me on multiple occasions, and he probably should have done, but.
And so this, you know, was before 2014. So I feel like another reason, like, they didn't, like, the advancements in technology hadn't happened yet to where even if they were predicting where technology might be going, they still wouldn't be able to for sure know like what would be happening with the results of that and how that would influence social media with, you know, the way the updates in video production happen to where now video is king for content production because that's the main way people typically want to engage with you. And we now have even more ways than ever to, communicate with each other through video. Um, and so I think things like that is what keeps us so engaged with social media, because we're able to stay in touch with each other, and we're also able to, like, with certain things happening, like now we have even more control of the content that we can watch, right? Like we used to be forced to, you can only watch what the social networks are putting out. Not the social network, well, I guess they are social networks, but the television networks and the media networks are putting out. You can only watch what they're showing you. But now we have even more content production and with through like everyday people, and you can watch whatever fuck you want. You have even more opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Like to choose who are you spending your time with. And I think that's awesome. But yeah, let's keep going.
Without Chimoth, I think none of us would have stayed at the company. We were a really weird bunch of people, but it worked out. And the two things we did, I think, that really, really drove growth initially was, number one, we focused on that 10 friends in 14 days and getting users to the magic moment. And that was something Zuck drove, because we were all stuck in analysis paralysis saying, is it causation? Is it correlation? Zuck was like, you really think if no one gets a friend that they'll be active on Facebook? Are you crazy? The second thing was internationalization. It was knocking down another barrier. And when we launched it, I think there were two things that we did really well. Number one was, even though we were late and we were stressed about being late, we took the time to build it in a scalable way. We moved slow to move fast. And you can actually hear the full story from Naomi in one of the videos linked from the lecture page. But what we did was we wrapped all the strings in the site in FBT, which is our translation script, and then, or translation extraction script, and then we created the community translation platform so that we didn't just have professional translators translating the site, we could have all of our users translating the site. And we got French translated in 12 hours. But we managed to get, to this day, we're now 104 languages translated by Facebook, for Facebook, 70 of those are translated by the community. And we took the time to build something that would enable us to scale. The other thing is we prioritized the right languages. So back then, the right languages, the big 4 languages were French, Italian, German, and Spanish. Figs. And Chinese, but we were blocked in China. So we focused on French, Italian, German, and Spanish. Now look at that list. That's today's distribution of languages. Italian isn't on the list anymore. French and German are about to fall off. In the last year, we quadrupled the number of people on Facebook in Hindi. Quadrupled. And so building for where the world is today is an easy mistake to make, and it's what a lot of the other social networks did. We built a scalable translation infrastructure that actually...
Is just him admitting that they only perceive the world and their market as being built for mainly Europeans, or am I just like reading too much into this?
Enabled us to attack all of the languages so we could be ready for where the future is going to be. And you'll probably be able to see some stuff from our Internet Org Summit in India about where we want to go with language translations later today, because I think they're talking about that stuff there. So these are the tactics I want to go through now, and I'll stick with the whiteboard for that stuff. But I'd really encourage you guys as I go through these, if you've got any questions about them, let me know. I think this should be like a more free-form time anyway, but I think some of these tactics are quite interesting.
So we'll see what he says about the tactics, but he's talking about virality, SEO, ESPN, search engine marketing, affiliates, referral programs. So the difference between search engine optimization and search engine marketing right here would be typically when you talk about search engine marketing, you're referring to paid marketing, pay-per-click strategies typically. And with search engine optimization, so that's typically organic.
Yes. I think there are two ways to look at virality.
Hit play.
There's a great book.
Did I hit it again?
The book.
Wait, the fuck am I doing? My bad. And with SEO, he's talking about free shit. Virality, the content I've been covering regarding trend reports will help you be on the right track if virality is your thing. But in terms of being able to predict what's gonna go viral, you know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck he means by ESPN, because I associate that with the sports news network. But with affiliate and referral programs, that's where, for example, I offer 30% commission on closed deals referred. And affiliate programs are a great way to get help, because, people like extra, sometimes affiliate programs like, you get free shit, you get free, discounts on shit, or you either get free shit or discounts on shit with affiliate programs, and then you also can get paid. You know what I mean? So they're pretty helpful. But let's see if he says what the fuck he means by ESPN.
If you've got any questions about them, let me know. I think this should be like a more free-form time anyway, but I think some of these tactics are quite interesting. So virality. Yes, I think there are two ways to look at virality. There's a great book. The book on the right here by Adam Pennenberg, Viral Loop, goes through a bunch of case studies of companies that have grown through viral marketing. And I strongly encourage you, if you're interested in viral marketing, to get that book. I think Ogilvy in advertising great as well, because chapter 7, he's like, if you can't think of anything else, stick the car to a billboard with super glue and people buy your super glue. And he's got some really good creative tips in there. Like the guy's been dead 20 years, and I think he's still, I buy, everyone on my team gets both of these books when they start on my team. So virality. So Sean Park has this model that he taught, or he told us about when I joined Facebook, which is to think about virality for a product in terms of 3 things. First is payload. So how many people can you hit with any given viral blast? Second, he had cooler words for these, I'm not quite as cool. Second is conversion rate, and third is frequency. Payload, frequency, and conversion rate, whatever, that order. So how many people can you hit at once is payload. How many times can you hit them per blast is frequency. And what are they going to convert at? And that gives you a fundamental idea of how viral a product is. So Hotmail is the canonical example of brilliant viral marketing, right? Back when Hotmail launched, there were a bunch of mail companies that had been funded and were throwing huge amounts of money at traditional advertising. How many people know the Hotmail story of virality? Awesome, great, new audience. Sorry. There's 2 or 3 people will be bored. But Hotmail, back at that time, people couldn't get free email clients. They had to be tied to their ISP. And Hotmail and a few other companies launched, and their clients were available wherever you went. You could log in via library internet or whatever, school internet, and be able to get access to that, which is a really big value proposition for everyone who wanted to access it. Most of the companies went out there and did big TV campaigns and billboard campaigns and newspaper campaigns and things like that, bought a lot of advertising off Yahoo, all of those things. But the Hotmail team didn't have as much funding, so they had to scrabble around to figure out how to do it. So what they did was add that little link at the bottom of every email that said, sent from Hotmail, get your free email here. Now the interesting thing is, that meant the payload was low, right? You email one person at a time, not necessarily going to have a huge payload. Maybe you send around some of those viral spam emails, but then I'm not sure I'll click on your link. The frequency is high though, because you're emailing the same people over and over and over, which means you're going to hit them once, twice, 3 times a day with that same link and really move up the impressions. And the conversion rate was also very high because people didn't like being tied to their ISP email. And so Hotmail ended up being extremely viral because it had high frequency and high conversion rates. Another example is PayPal. PayPal is interesting because PayPal has 2 sides to it. PayPal has the buyer and the seller side. The other thing that's interesting about PayPal is its mechanism for viral growth was eBay. And so you can use all kinds of things for virality that may not look necessarily obviously viral. So PayPal, if you sent money, if you said to a seller, I'm going to send you money, like, I can't think of a higher conversion rate. Frequency was low, payload was low. But PayPal did this thing where they gave away money when you got your friends to sign up for PayPal, and so that's how they went viral on the consumer side. They didn't have to do that for sellers, because if I said, I'm going to send you money via this, you will take that. And even on the consumer side, they went viral because someone said, sign up for this thing and you'll get $10. Why wouldn't you? So they were able to go viral, but in both cases, it was because their conversion rate was incredibly high on the buyer and the seller side, not because their payload and frequency was high. Make sense? So this is a really good way to look at virality if you want to say, is this product viral? Facebook was not viral via email sharing or anything like that. Facebook was purely viral by word of mouth. Because the interesting thing about PayPal and Hotmail is to use them, the first person had to send an email to someone who wasn't on the service. With Facebook, there's no native way to contact people who aren't on the service. And everyone thinks of Facebook as like viral marketing success, and that's actually not how it grew. It was word of mouth virality because it was an awesome product you wanted to tell your friends about. How's everyone doing? Is this interesting? Great question, yes.
So when you're talking about this low payload in both those examples, in the later rounds as this sort of campaign or whatever you want to call it is going, are you going to have a much higher payload as more and more people are sending Hotmail to more and more folks, and that way your payload grows and grows and grows?
You know, and speaking of the whole viral connection of Facebook, I think with Facebook, part of what makes them viral is that social networking, because it's the community. It's the community organizing. It is bringing the social and community organizing to the internet. And so thinking of how they did that, like how you can implement that in your own community organizing support system and business. You know what I mean? This is what I'm marinating on. I feel like I need to do some more processing here.
So the question is, in the first round, it makes sense that it has a low payload, but in later rounds on, you can have higher payloads as people send more and more emails. I guess in my head, well, first and foremost, I think you actually only send emails to a small number of people. So compared to like the massive viral engines that exist today, where you import someone's entire contact book and send them all an email, or where you post to everyone's friends on Facebook, the actual payload is still very small, even if it's everyone that you email on a frequent basis you hit. And I'm also thinking really per email sent out, how many people are on it. But it's a fair point. Like, yeah, as more people get on Hotmail, they'll send more emails. As more people use email, the product actually grows more and more successfully. So that's a fair point. Go for it.
Conversion also matters, so like for me, just click and you sign up, so you see billboard ads. It's more the same.
Completely agree. That's why. Oh, sorry. Doesn't point to conversion matter as well. So on Hotmail, you click to sign up, but on a billboard, you have to remember the URL, go to the website, type it in, find the registration button, click register, and sign up. Yes. Anything you can do to move friction out of the flow, and going from an offline ad to an online ad removes huge amounts of friction from the flow. Obviously, totally agree with that. One more at the back.
On frequency and conversion related.
On frequency and conversion related.
Where he's talking about reducing friction in the flow, that's actually really, really important because, for example, typically like the easier it is, for someone to buy from you, the more likely they are to buy. So the more obstacles you can remove that are in the way of someone buying from you, then the more likely they are to buy. Typically, if you have an obstacle in there intentionally, it should be for buyer qualification. So that way you can ensure that you're targeting the right person for your business. You know what I'm saying? But if it's not in relation to that, then any obstacle you want to do your best to remove typically to increase your conversion rate. So where he's talking about the flow here, that is gold. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't feel like I was being told that type of shit in college. So that's the type of shit that actually helps you with like tangible, like what can I do to improve my ability to make sales? Like that is it right there to me. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. If you hit someone with the same promotion, I got everything to that, on frequency and conversion rate related. If you hit someone with the same email over and over and over again, or the same banner ad, this is one of the things that's fundamental about online marketing. The same rules apply to every channel. If you hit someone with the same Facebook ad over and over and over, the more times you hit them with the same ad, the less they'll click. That's why we have like creative exhaustion. You have to rotate creatives on Facebook. Same with banner ads. Same with newsfeed stories. The 50th time you see that IQ story in your newsfeed, you are not going to click on it. If you haven't clicked on the 49 before, you're not going to click on the 50th. The same is absolutely true with these emails. So if you send the same email over and over and over to people for an invite, then, or if you send the same little link at the bottom over and over and over to people for Hotmail, or the PayPal one's different because people just signed up. But yes, you'll get lower conversion rate, and that the more you hit someone with the same message, the less they convert, is fundamental across every online marketing channel. Every online marketing channel. Cool. Second way to look at virality, which I think is awesome, is by this guy, Ed. And Ed runs the growth team at Uber now. He was at the growth team at Facebook, and he was a Stanford MBA student, did a class similar to this where they talked about virality, and they all went and built viral products, and there was a bunch of press about that, actually. And he's brilliant at this stuff. The interesting thing about Uber is if you look at their growth team, they're incredibly focused on drivers. Because as a two-sided marketplace, they need drivers. That's a huge, huge chunk of their focus as a team, even though they've got like probably the best viral guy in the world at the company. So with virality, you send out, you get someone to contact import, let's say. Then the question is, how many of those people do you get to send imports? Then the question is, to how many people? Then how many click? And you can put extra steps in this. You can put how many open, how many click, whatever. How many click, how many sign up, and then how many of those import. So essentially, you want people who sign up to your site to import their contacts. You want to then get them to send an invite to all of those contacts. You want to get it to all of those contacts, not just one of them. Then you want to get a percentage of those click and a percentage of those sign up. If you multiply out the percents at every point in this is essentially where, well, this isn't a percent, this is a number. If you multiply those out, that's essentially the point where you get to the question of what is the K factor. So if you have, when someone imports, if on average they send invites to 100 people, sorry, doing that wrong. Let's say 100 people get an invite per person to import.
Okay, so when we talk about growth, I will say all of this is super important when it comes to thinking about how you want to grow. One thing I want to keep in mind also, so I know somebody who created a Facebook group off of the concept of snarking on people, but the whole reason was to call out people who are doing harmful things. But in the way that the group was built off of the concept of just bitching and talking shit on these people, the group got built in a community who basically all they do is just talk shit about people and snark on people. It's not a community that, not everybody in the community, I'm highly overgeneralizing, but many in the community aren't really focused on like value alignment and human rights issues. They're just there to make fun of people and talk shit. Because the group they joined for them is just about snark. So they weren't connecting the snark to the social issues, right? And so now the creator is like, I just built this group and these people are terrible. And you know what I mean? Basically. And fucking, not all the people, because there's a lot of cool people in the group, but you know what I mean? Like, fucking, but like, be careful with how you grow. Grow in value alignment, because the community you cultivate is the community you're going to scale and grow and perpetuate. You know what I'm saying? So you have to, even with good intentions, you can be growing in the wrong group. And that doesn't mean that, you know, like you meant bad or that you were trying to do something bad, but it's about looking at, okay, well, is it always a good thing to just try and get as many people to join your cause as possible? Or should you focus on qualifying the people who are joining? You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
And then of those 10% click, that gets you to 10. And then of those, let's say 50% sign up, that gets you to 5. And then of those, only 10 to 20% actually subsequently import. You're going to be at a point where you're at 0.5 to 1 as your K factor, and you're going to not be viral. So a lot of things like Vidi are very good at pumping, or were very good at pumping out stories that got the K factor over 1, and it's perfectly doable to get the K factor over 1. But if you have something that doesn't have high retention on the back end, it doesn't really matter. So you should look at your invite flow and say, okay, what is my equivalent of import? How many people per import are invites sent to? How many of those receive clicks? How many of those convert to my site? How many of those then import? To get an idea of your K factor. But the really important thing is still to think about retention and not to think about virality, and only do this after you have a large number of people retained on your product per person who signs up. So a couple more things we're going to touch on. SEO, email, SMS, and push notifications. So on SEO, there are 3 things you need to think about. First one is keyword research. People do this badly all the time. So I launched this.
Oh, is ESPN what he's calling email marketing and push notifications? Okay. Email, SMS, and push notifications is what I'm assuming he means, because email, SMS is what I don't even know what the fuck SMS stands for, but it's what they refer to as text message marketing. Email, text message marketing, and push notifications. ESPN. Okay, I see what he did there. Light bulb. Bruh, my bad. Fucking, yes, those are all important. Okay. And what's so important about email, text message, and push notifications is people have given you permission for you to reach out, and those are people who want to hear from you. You know what I mean? So that's where you typically have the best conversions. And if not, then you need to reflect on how you're building your community, because it may just be hate watchers. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes it can be like, so say your community is people who, you know, so a lot of us in human rights organizing, you're going to be reaching more of the lower class people. Not that we're am I being classist when I say that? Call myself lower class, but I'm being like income disparity wise. Like we're fucking broke as shit, man. All right, if you're broke, you're probably reaching other broke bitches too, for example, right? And so you also, when we are broke, all broke as shit together, you think about the poverty rates, and you think about your audience. So sometimes your audience is just a broker audience. And so your conversion rate isn't because people are hate watching you or don't love you. You just are speaking to the broke bitches who can't afford to support you, but they still love you. And they're going to keep watching your shit so the people who can afford you buy it. You know what I mean? Type thing. Like, so that can be a thing too. So not always, like, if you know your audience and you know the type of engagement you're getting, sometimes it can be real shit. It's just like you're reaching the broke bitches, man. It's just where you're targeting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, but then it's like, so that can be a thing too. But overall, if you're reaching a lot of people, but you're not getting conversions, then you do not have qualified buyers. I mean, I guess that's true no matter what, but yeah. All right, let's keep.
Cocktail site I talked to you about. I spent a year optimizing it to rank for the word cocktail making. Turns out in the UK, no one searches for cocktail making. About 500 people a month. I dominated that search term. It was awesome. Got 400 visitors a month. That's amazing. Everyone searches for cocktail recipes in the UK. And in the US, which is the biggest market, everyone searches for drink recipes. So I optimized for the wrong word. So you've got to do your research first about what you're going to go after. So research consists of what do people search for that's related to your site, how many people search for it, how many other people are ranking for it, and how valuable is it for you. Supply, demand, and value. Simple economics, I guess. So you do your keyword research, you figure out which keywords you want to rank for. There are great tools out there to enable you to do that. Honestly, the best is quite often the Google AdWords keyword planner tool, really. Once you've done that, the next most important thing is links. So page rank.
I do agree that Google AdWords Keyword Planner is the best tool to use. For those of you who are wanting to consider keyword strategies that aren't running ads yet, because you do have to have a Google ad account to use the Keyword Planner, but you know what? You can create a Google ad account and not even fucking run an ad. But anyway, like you can it'll make you set up the ad sometimes when you create the account, but I'll fucking set up the ad, start and stop it before it even spends any fucking money, and then use the damn ad planner. Fuck you, Google. Anyway, but so you can do that, or you can just Google free keyword planner, and they'll typically get you pretty much similar data.
Rank is how all of SEO essentially is driven, and Google is based on authority. Now, there's a lot of other things in Google's algorithm now, like do people search for your website? There's a lot of stuff about the distribution of what the anchor text is that's sent to your site, so that if you abuse it and spam it, they can pop up with spam. White on a white background, 5 pages below the fold doesn't work anymore. But the single most important thing is to get valuable links from high authority websites for you to rank in Google. Most important thing. Then you need to distribute that love inside your site by internally linking effectively. And when I joined Facebook, we launched SEO in September 2007, which was before I joined. I joined November 2007. And we launched it and we were getting no traffic from the pages we launched, public user profiles. So when I went in and looked at it, the only way you could get to any public user profile was to click on the footer of the page for the about link, then click on one of the blog articles, then click on one of the authors, and then spider out through their friends to get to all their friends. Turns out that Google was like, they buried these pages, they're not very valuable, I'm not going to rank them. We made one change, we added a directory, so that Google could quickly get to every page on the site, and we 100x'd SEO traffic. Very, very simple change, drove a lot of upside about distributing the link love internally. And then the last thing is there's a bunch of table stake stuff, XML sitemaps, making sure you have the right headers. It's all covered really well online for what you want to do. I'm going to stop now and make sure, because we had a few questions, but what other questions are there? Go for it. Let's go into email. Okay, great. Email. Email is dead for people under 25, in my opinion. Right? Young people don't use email. They use WhatsApp, they use SMS, they use Snapchat, they use
I feel like, I don't know, to a certain degree, I think that younger people do use less email than people who are older, because younger people will be so caught up with college or high school or just trying to work and just trying to figure out who they are and shit, that they're not necessarily people who communicate the most through email, because they are on those other platforms and more focused there. But at the same time, I have always had strong results in email marketing, even to younger people. I think you have to have the right offer. And I think younger people, they hate cold contacting. And when this was written 10 years ago, there are a lot of laws in place that are in place now that were not in place then. And most people's marketing strategy back then was just cold contacting. And they would also, if not cold contact, they would be email marketing to you without you even giving consent to be email marketed to. Like, there were no consent laws in place, and so if they just had your info, they'd bam, put you in their email marketing, and you didn't even want to do that. You didn't even give them permission for that. You know what I mean? And so that was super common then too as well 10 years ago, and the rates, the open rates and close rates and conversion rates that he's speaking on, I think are also indicative and reflecting of that time, where people who are younger, in my opinion, are less likely to respond to marketing we don't agree or consent for. But people who are a bit older than us, they are so used to just already being advertised to, like, for them it's just the way it's done. But we come along and we're just like, nah, I'm not looking at that shit, fuck that, you know what I mean? If I'm making sense.
Facebook, they don't use email. If you're targeting an older audience, email is pretty successful. Email still works for distribution, but realistically, email is not that great for teenagers, especially, and even for people at university. You know how much you use instant messaging apps and how little you use email, and you guys are probably on the high end of the scale for email because you're in Silicon Valley. That being said, on email, the things to think about: email, SMS, and
And I also think it's about qualifying your buyer though, because I was using email marketing a lot and emails a lot from 19 years old to, because I was booking a lot of shows and I was a promoter. All of that had to be done through email marketing, emails for the most part. Some people, I could be like Facebook messaging them to book the band or the artist or the venue, but for the most part, it's emails. And so most teenagers and young adults aren't in business, but if you qualify like the right audience with your teenagers, there are actually a lot of teenagers who do use email. It's just like not typical. I feel like because email is a more formal, long term like thing, and a lot of people, they can just text you. They don't fucking email you because it's just like, with emails, that's where you send people attachments. I don't know.
push notifications all behave the same way. They all have questions of deliverability. So to finish first, you have to finish. Your email has to get to someone's inbox. So if you send a lot of spam and you end up with dirty IPs, or you send spam from shared servers where other people or if you send email notifications from shared servers where other people are sending spam from, you are going to end up being put in a spam folder consistently, and your email will fail completely. You may end up being blocked and have your email bounce. There's a lot of stuff around email where you have
Typically, if people give you permission to contact them, though, they don't mark you as spam unless they can't figure out or don't know how to unsubscribe or just don't like you and then they decide they want to unsubscribe, then they might do that. But typically, like, you don't have a spam rate when you get consent. So the fact that he's talking about that shows, like, that leads me to believe maybe he's referring to statistics where there wasn't even permission given. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's an even bigger turn off for young people who, like, they're like, I know I didn't give you my information, but old people might have forgotten who they gave permission to or not. You know what I mean?
to look. When you receive feedback from the servers you're sending email to, 500 series errors versus 400 series errors, you have to be respectful of how those are handled. If someone gives you a hard bounce, retry once or twice and then stop trying. Because if you're someone who abuses people's
Okay, so there's a difference between a soft bounce and a hard bounce. So a soft bounce is when someone's email is full or something like that, and it bounced because of something happening on their email account on their end, and it's not because of anything with you. Typically, with a hard bounce, that's typically when someone's marked you as spam or blocked your email address, um, or if their email isn't in action anymore. And then those can penalize you. You know what I'm saying? But fucking yeah, I don't keep trying. When I get bounces, like if it's a soft bounce, I might keep trying. If it's a hard bounce, I fucking go ahead and remove them from my list. I don't delete from my database, and because, but unless so if it's a transaction, if someone's a customer, then there are certain laws where you have to retain the transaction. Laws vary state by state, country by country, where you have to retain the data for the transactions for their purchase with you, just for legal protection for a set time frame. So I don't recommend necessarily typically ever deleting information from paying customers, at least until those time frames are up. But then if they're not a paying customer, legally, if someone asks you to delete their information, you're legally obligated to as an email marketer, outside of the context of those things. And then at any time someone asks me to remove them from my marketing, I will delete their information in case there's a chance I can retarget them later, because I wouldn't waste an ad budget on retargeting people that wanted to be unsubscribed. If I was low on funds, but if I was ever like, let's see if I can re-engage any of these people, then I might test their budget on it one day. You know what I mean? But I still maintain and keep their data and their records, so that way if they ever do come by, I have that track record of our past communication. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but you got to clean your data. Clean your data and don't keep reaching out to people who obviously don't want to buy from you. It's a waste of every time you email someone, it takes up space for you. It's a waste of resources. So just don't fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Inboxes, the email companies spam folder you, and it's very hard to get out. If you get caught on a spam house link or anything like that, it's very hard to get out. It's really important with email that you are a high-class citizen, that you do good work with email, because you want to have deliverability for the long run. That counts for push notifications and SMS too. With SMS, you can go and buy SMS traffic via grey routes with people with having phones strung up, attached to like a computer and pumping out SMSs. That works for a time, but it always gets shut down. And I've seen so many companies make these mistakes where they think they're going to grow by using these kind of tactics. If you can't get your email, your SMS, or your push delivered, you will never get any success from these. Push, you spam your power users. I know that's slightly different from what I said earlier, but you actually spam your power users and give them notifications they don't care about and make it really hard for them to opt out. So there's no settings where they can opt out and they start blocking you. You can never push them once they've opted out of your push notifications. And it's very hard actually to prompt them to turn them on once they've turned them off. So number one thing to think about email, SMS, and push notifications is you have to get them delivered. Beyond that, it's a question of open rate, click-through rate. So what is the compelling subject line you can put there so that people are going to open your email, and how can you get them to click when they visit? Everyone focuses towards doing marketing emails that are just spam, in my opinion. Newsletters are stupid. Don't do newsletters because you'll send the same message to everyone on your site. Someone who signed up to your site yesterday versus someone who's been using your product for 3 years, do they need the same message?
I do agree that customized messages can lead to direct sales and direct actions taken way better, because you're going to be sending a message to a person in their journey with you at that time as it relates to it. And that's what my main strategy is right now. Like, I do newsletters, but I don't do them regularly. My main email strategy is my automations. But fucking I also do still think there is a place for newsletters. And the reason being is it does get conversions and spread public awareness on specific things you want to draw people's attention to that you're doing. It creates a sense of community by giving people a sense of stability and what you are doing as an organizer and how you're presenting yourself to them. Um, and it continues to provide those touch points of engagement, where the more times people interact and engage with you and do business with you, then the more likely they are to buy from you. So, done right, newsletters can be extremely effective. It can actually provide a lot of value for people. I like to present mine also sometimes like as like a program, like here's what you can go enjoy. So they can provide a lot of value, but I don't think they should be your only email marketing technique, because alone they don't necessarily lead to sales. So I can see his point, but I wouldn't I would say I still find them useful myself.
No. The most effective email you can do is notifications. So what are you sending? What should you be notifying people of? And this is a great place where we're in the wrong mindset. As a Facebook user, I don't want Facebook to email me about every like I receive, because I receive a lot of likes because I've got a bunch of Facebook friends. But as a new Facebook user, that first like you receive is a magic moment. Turning on that notification across all of our channels increased the click-through rate on our emails, SMS, and push notifications, but we only turned it on for low engaged users who weren't coming back to the site, so it wouldn't be spamming them. So it was a great experience. So think about that. What notification should you be sending is the first thing that you need to think about on email, SMS, and push. And then the second thing you need to be thinking about is how can you create great triggered marketing campaigns? So when someone created their first cross-border trade transaction, it was one of the best email campaigns I was ever part of at eBay in terms of click-through rates. It was awesome because it was really timely, really in context of the right thing to do for the user. So I'd say make sure you have deliverability, most important thing. Focus on notifications and trigger-based email, SMS, and push notifications given that. So I think we're out of time. There's one thing I wanted to finish with, which is, and if you guys have any questions, I guess like you can reach me, and if I get spammed, I just won't reply. We have great spam filters. No. One of my favorite quotes is from General Patton, and it's so cliched, it's crazy, but it's awesome. A good plan, violently executed today, is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. And one of the things Chamath instilled in us, and Hattie still instills in us, and Mark instills across the whole of Facebook, is this move fast and don't be afraid to break stuff ethos. If you can run more experiments than the next guy, if you can be hungry for growth, if you fight and die for every extra user, and you stay up late at night to get those extra users to run those experiments, to get the data and do.
On a certain level, I think this is good advice, but on a different level, like, you have to really know what you're doing with ads to do that with ads, to be that way with advertising. Because if you're not used to running ads, you can't just, you might waste money just immediately going into the idea. So don't just like be the person who's like, I'm gonna go fast and break shit unless you're experienced in how to fix the thing you break. You know what I'm saying? Or you're ready to figure that shit out. On a certain level, I think there should be a little caution with not wanting to break things because not everything can be fixed. You know what I mean?
Do it over and over again, you will grow faster. Marcus said he thinks we won because we wanted it more, and I really believe that. We just worked really hard. It's not like we're crazy smart or we've all done these crazy things before. We just worked really, really hard and we executed fast. And I strongly encourage you to do that. Growth is optional.
I wonder if we're talking about exploitation of labors though. So yeah, fucking this is the end of this lecture. And I really fucking like it, like I really feel like, I can't remember which one it was. There's like other lectures in here that I felt like I connected a little bit more with the lecture emotionally. But this lecture, for the technical aspects and for the what are actionable things that you can take out of this, and you go apply that to your marketing and you're going to do better, and it might actually help you make sales. This lecture, in my opinion, has provided the most of that, particularly in relation to those growth tips where he's talking about SEO, SEM. Where he's talking about search engine optimization, search engine marketing, email marketing, push notifications, text message marketing. And he's talking about affiliate marketing and referrals. I think I covered it all. When he's talking about those things, like, amazing. And he's educating people on virality and growth rates and conversion rates and payload. I think all of these are things that can actually help people reflect on what are they going to do to differentiate themselves in the market. When he's talking about the magic value, like how are you going to give people a reason to buy from you? Like these are all things where I felt like he did a really good job. So yeah, I actually really did enjoy that lecture. But yeah, fucking, in conclusion, today we've talked about a lot. We started off with our comparison between Billy Mays and Bob Ross. And so they're totally different energy wise, right? Billy Mays is just like loud and Bob Ross is just like, dude, like he's so chill. But where they go in common, in my opinion, is the way I feel like they use the 5 steps of a conversation flow in their content production to keep people engaged and to sell their offers. And so we explored that a little bit today. And then we finished off here with our reaction to this lecture on growth from How to Start a Startup. And this one was given by Alex Schultz. And he is a vice president of Facebook for growth. I keep saying that wrong. He's a vice president of growth for Facebook. You know what the fuck I mean. So he does some shit like that. And I felt like his lecture was extremely technical. So for people who are in their introductory level learning journey of marketing, it might be a bit like a lot of buzzwords, but as you learn more and more, or for people who are practicing and using these things, I feel like it's a really great lecture to consider, what was helping with sustainable growth 10 years from now? What can you take that's still relevant today? Because a lot of these, long-term sustainability is sustainable long-term. So when we look at, the growth, we're thinking short-term and long-term, right? And so with short-term growth, like with trends, that isn't forever. That is set to a time period. But long-term sustainability and long-term growth strategies will continue to be viable for a long time, such as search engine optimization. This is long-term. Um, and so, if I'm making sense, well, actually, short search engine optimization it's like short term and long term, because it's a short term in terms of the work you do on it. It's short term. You don't have like each action you take on search engine optimization, you work on it long term because you have to optimize your SEO forever, because SEO changes. It's not like you set it and forget it. But you don't have to continuously do each thing forever. Like, each action is a short-term action for long-term results. You know what I'm saying? Um, I don't know if I'm making sense. All right. I feel like I am, we're at the end here. So we've been testing some content production stuff. Um, and I spent a lot of time in my introduction. I was a bit worried about if my chat was going to work or not. And then I was like, why the fuck am I talking about this damn chat so long in this intro? But it works. Yay. So, right here where it just says top chat though, like for me, I'm pulling up live chat, but for you guys, it still says top chat there. And so I think is it showing in order of live chat or top chat? I don't know. But, so I'm noticing, I don't know if I can change that or make that different, but whatever. Like, we'll see how that evolves as we go. So we are testing this. I'm gonna keep trying out the visuals. I think I'm just gonna get used to how I set it up now for a bit, and then eventually down the road, if I can think of ways to make it an even better experience, we'll hopefully do that. But if there's anything that you don't like about it, the setup that could be better for you, you can let me know, and I will try to improve and optimize on that, because I just want it to be like a better visual and audio experience for everybody overall. I know I'm still having a lot of audio issues. Like, I'm trying to get better at using my audio mixer here whenever I am reacting to content, so that way it's not like a complete clusterfuck between the volume discrepancies. So I'm gonna try to pay more attention to that, because I'm not always the best at doing that, because I totally forgot about that today. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a great day, and I appreciate you. And yeah, bye. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeafchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.